Colorado Territory. Early March 1879. What would you do if the only thing keeping your baby alive was slipping through your fingers like sand? That question haunted Jack Turner every sleepless night, every endless hour, every moment he looked into his daughter's fading eyes and knew he was losing her. The wind screamed across the Turner ranch that March evening, tearing through the valley with the fury of something alive and angry. Inside, the weather-beaten cabin lamplight flickered against walls stained with smoke and time. The fire in the hearth had burned down to embers. The room smelled of sour milk and unwashed wool and the particular desperation that clings to a man who has run out of options. Jack sat slumped in the rocking chair his wife had loved, the one she would never sit in again. In his arms, wrapped in a quilt that had seen better days, his daughter made small sounds that barely qualified as cries anymore. She was too weak even for that. 6 months old, and she looked like a ghost of what a baby should be. Her skin hung loose on tiny bones. Her lips were cracked and pale. Her eyes, when they opened, held a distant quality that terrified him more than her screams ever had. "Come on, baby girl," Jack whispered, his voice rough as gravel. "Please, just a little." He held the bottle to her mouth. Goat milk warmed over the dying fire. She turned her face away. The milk dribbled down her chin and soaked into the quilt. It always did. She had not taken more than a few drops in 2 days. Before that, maybe a week of refusing most feedings. Before that, a slow decline that started the day his wife died and never stopped. Jack's hands shook as he set the bottle on the floor. It rolled in a slow circle, spilling white across the warped boards. He did not pick it up. What was the point? She would not drink it. She had not drunk from any bottle, any cup, any method he tried. The town doctor said there was nothing to be done. Some babies just failed to thrive. Some babies, the doctor said with eyes that would not meet Jack's, were not meant for this world. But Jack knew the truth. His daughter was dying because she needed something he could not give her. She needed her mother. She needed a woman's milk, a woman's warmth, a woman's touch. And her mother was 6 feet under the frozen ground, buried on a Tuesday in September, while her newborn daughter screamed in a stranger's arms. Thunder rolled across the hills. The first drops of rain began to fall hard and cold against the windows. Jack stood pacing the small room with Lily pressed against his chest. She made a sound like a kitten mewling. It broke something in him that was already shattered. He had tried everything. God, he had tried. He had ridden to every ranch within 20 miles, knocking on doors, begging for help. "Does anyone have a nursing wife? My baby needs milk. She's dying." Most doors closed in his face with mumbled apologies. A few women looked at him with pity, but shook their heads. One woman just yesterday had said what they all must have been thinking. "I'm sorry, Mr. Turner, but after what happened with Mary after the talk, well, folks don't want to get involved." After the talk. Jack knew what she meant, the whispers that followed him through town, the way conversation stopped when he walked into the general store. Mary Turner had died under circumstances that bred speculation. A baby born in secret. No midwife present, no witnesses. Just Jack's word that his wife had given birth alone in the woods and died from the bleeding. People wondered. People always wondered. And now his daughter was paying the price for their suspicion. Jack stopped at the window. Rain lashed the glass. Beyond, in the darkness, he could see nothing but his own reflection. A man hollowed out, eyes sunken from weeks without real sleep, jaw dark with stubble, shirt stained and half-buttoned. He looked like a man at the end of his rope. He looked like a man about to do something desperate. On the table beside the window sat a small brown bottle, laudanum. Enough for a grown man to sleep without dreams. Enough for a baby to sleep without waking. The doctor had given it to him months ago. For when the pain becomes too much, he had said, and Jack had known he was not talking about physical pain. Jack's eyes went to that bottle now, then to his daughter, then back to the bottle. "I can't watch you suffer," he whispered. "I can't." But even as he thought it, even as his hand moved toward the laudanum, something in him rebelled. Mary would never forgive him. Hell, he would never forgive himself. He let his hand fall. Instead, he carried Lily to her crib. He laid her down on the thin mattress, covered her with blankets that smelled like smoke. She looked so small in that crib, so fragile, like something made of paper and wishes. Her breathing was shallow. Her chest rose and fell in irregular rhythms that made his own chest tighten with fear. "I'm sorry," Jack said. "I'm so sorry I can't help you." He turned away before the tears could come. Grown men did not cry, not even when their daughters were dying, not even when they had already buried their wives and lost their faith and run out of hope. Outside, the storm intensified. Wind hammered the cabin walls. Rain turned to sleet, rattling against the roof like thrown gravel. Jack moved through the darkened rooms like a ghost himself. He lit no lamps. He did not need light to see his failure. In the back room he found paper and pencil. His hand shook as he wrote. The words came slowly, painfully, like pulling thorns from flesh. "If anyone has milk to spare, please help my baby girl. She is dying. I will pay anything. I will do anything. Please." He folded the paper, walked to the front door. The wind nearly tore it from his hands when he opened it. Rain soaked him instantly. He did not care. He pinned the note to the outside of the door with a nail, hammering it in place with numb fingers. The paper flapped wildly in the wind. It would probably blow away before morning. It did not matter. Nothing mattered. He went back inside, shut the door against the storm, stood in the darkness and the cold, and listened to his daughter's weak cries from the next room. This was how it ended then, not with drama or meaning, just with a man alone in a cabin watching his child slip away while the world outside raged with indifference. Jack sank to the floor beside the hearth. He pulled his knees to his chest. He had fought in range wars. He had broken wild horses that tried to kill him. He had survived a winter that took half the cattle in the territory. He had buried the only woman he ever loved. But this was different. This was worse. This was helplessness so complete it felt like drowning on dry land. The fire popped a small flame, catching on the last piece of wood. Lily's cries grew fainter. Jack closed his eyes. And then came the knock. 3 sharp raps against the door. Firm, deliberate, human. Jack's eyes snapped open. For a moment he thought he had imagined it, the wind playing tricks. But then it came again. Knock, knock, knock. He scrambled to his feet, grabbed the rifle from beside the door. Out here in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a storm, visitors meant trouble more often than help. He checked the load, cracked the door open. A woman stood on his porch. The rain had plastered her hair to her skull, dark and streaming. Her clothes, what he could see of them, were soaked through. Apache-style dress, deerskin and beadwork, now heavy with water. Her face was pale in the lamplight spilling from behind him, high cheekbones, dark eyes that held his with an intensity that made him take an involuntary step back. She was Apache. There was no mistaking it. And she was alone, and she was on his doorstep in the middle of a storm. "I saw your note," she said. Her English was accented but clear. "I heard her crying at night." Jack stared. His mind struggled to process. An Apache woman. Here? Now? Offering help. "Your baby," the woman continued when he did not speak. "She needs milk. I have." "You have milk." The words came out strangled. The woman nodded. She clutched her shawl tighter. Water dripped from her clothes, pooling on the porch. "My baby passed 2 months ago. She was 4 months old. I still have milk." The pain in her voice was raw enough to cut. Jack understood pain like that. He had been living with it since September. "I don't know you," he said, which was a stupid thing to say, but his brain was not working properly. Nothing had worked properly in 6 months. "You don't need to know me," the woman said. "Your baby needs to eat. I can feed her. That is all that matters." From inside the cabin, Lily let out a weak cry. The woman's eyes shifted past Jack toward the sound. Something flickered across her face. Grief, recognition, something deeper, longing mixed with agony. It was gone in a heartbeat, but Jack saw it. "How do I know I can trust you?" he asked. "You don't," she said simply. "But she is dying. I hear it in her cry. You have maybe 1 day, maybe 2, then it will be too late." The brutal honesty of it hit Jack like a fist. Because she was right. He knew she was right. He had known it for days now. "Why would you help us?" he asked. "Your people and mine were not exactly friends." The woman's jaw tightened. "My baby is dead because of your people, but she was innocent, and so is your daughter. I will not let another baby die when I can prevent it. Not again. Thunder cracked overhead. The wind tore at the woman's shawl. She stood her ground waiting for his answer. Jack looked at her, really looked, saw the exhaustion in her face, the grief carved into the lines around her mouth, the way she held herself like someone who had lost everything and was still standing only out of sheer stubbornness. He recognized that stance. He had seen it in the mirror every morning. Lily cried again, weaker than before. Jack stepped aside. The woman entered, bringing the smell of rain and pine and something else, something earthy and alive. She moved past him carefully, keeping distance, keeping her hands visible. She was not stupid. She knew the risk she was taking. A lone Apache woman in a white man's home in the middle of nowhere with no one to witness or protect or verify. If Jack wanted to hurt her, who would stop him? Who would even know? But she had come anyway, because a baby was dying. Jack closed the door, leaned the rifle against the wall but kept it close. The woman did not comment on it. She was already moving toward Lily's cries. The baby lay in her crib, face red from crying, fists clenched and trembling. The woman approached slowly. She looked down at Lily for a long moment. Her expression shifted, changed. Something passed across her face that Jack could not read. Pain, wonder, disbelief, all three at once. She reached out one hand, hesitated, then touched Lily's cheek with trembling fingers. The baby quieted slightly at the touch. The woman's breath caught audibly. "May I?" she asked, looking back at Jack. Her voice sounded different now, strained, like she was fighting to keep control. He nodded. What else could he do? The woman reached down and lifted Lily with hands that shook slightly. Not from inexperience, from emotion. She cradled the baby against her chest, and the moment Lily settled there, the woman's eyes closed. Tears slipped down her cheeks, mixing with rainwater. Jack watched confused and unsettled. This was more than compassion. This was something personal. "She is very hungry," the woman said, her voice thick. "When did she last eat?" 2 days ago, maybe 3. She takes a little, then refuses." The woman nodded, still not opening her eyes, still holding Lily like she was made of glass and gold. "How old is she?" 6 months. Born early September last year." The woman's eyes opened, stared at Jack with an intensity that made him step back. "September, early September." "Yes, why? What day?" "The 7th. Why does it matter?" The woman's face went white. She looked down at Lily, then back at Jack, then at the baby again. Her whole body trembled. "What's wrong?" Jack asked. "Nothing," she said quickly, too quickly. "I will feed her now. You should turn around." Jack turned his back facing the wall. He heard fabric rustling, heard Lily make a questioning sound, then heard something that made his throat tighten. The sound of a baby latching, the sound of desperate suckling, the sound of life choosing to continue. He pressed his forehead against the rough wood of the wall. His shoulders shook. He bit his lip to keep from making a sound. Behind him, Lily drank. The woman hummed something low and rhythmic, an Apache lullaby maybe. Jack did not know. He did not care. His daughter was eating. But something was wrong, something about the way the woman had reacted to the date, to Lily's age, something in her eyes when she looked at the baby. Time passed. Jack did not know how much. The storm continued to rage outside. Inside, the only sounds were Lily's feeding and the crackle of the dying fire and the woman's soft humming. Finally, the woman spoke. "She is finished." Jack turned. Lily lay against the woman's shoulder, milk drunk and peaceful. Her eyes were closed. Her face had more color than Jack had seen in weeks. The woman was covered modestly again, Lily bundled in her arms. But the woman's face, her eyes were red. She had been crying while feeding, silently, completely. "She took a lot," the woman said, her voice unsteady. "She was starving." "Thank you." The words felt inadequate, like thanking someone for saving your life. What words could be big enough? The woman stood, but she did not move to the crib. She just stood there, holding Lily, looking down at her face like she was memorizing every detail. "What's your name?" Jack asked. The woman's eyes lifted to his. "Kaya. I'm Jack Turner." "I know," she said softly. "How do you know?" "I heard people in town talk about the cavalryman who lost his wife, who has dying baby." She looked back at Lily. "They say your wife died in childbirth." "Yes." "Where In the woods, near Eagle Canyon. She went for a walk, came back with the baby, died the next day from bleeding. Kaya's face went absolutely still. Eagle Canyon? Yes, why, nothing. But her hands tightened on Lily. When exactly did your wife die? September 8th, the day after Lily was born. Kaya closed her eyes. When she opened them, they held something Jack had never seen in another person's eyes. A mixture of grief and rage and desperate hope all tangled together. I need to tell you something, Kaya said, but first I need you to promise you will not do anything. Just listen. What are you talking about? Promise. Jack's hand moved toward the rifle. Tell me first. I cannot, not without the promise. They stared at each other. The air in the cabin felt charged. Dangerous. Fine, Jack said. I promise. Now talk. Kaya looked down at Lily one more time, then very carefully she laid the baby in the crib, covered her, stepped back, put distance between herself and the child before she spoke. 6 months ago, Kaya said slowly, I was near Eagle Canyon with my band. We were trying to reach Mexico. We stopped to rest. I was pregnant, very pregnant. Labor started early that morning. Jack's stomach dropped. It was hard birth. Kaya continued, her voice mechanical, empty. My baby was breech, turned wrong. There was much pain, much blood, and then cavalry came. They attacked while I was in labor, while I was helpless. My husband tried to protect me. They shot him. I heard him die while I was trying to push. While I was trying to bring life into world, they were taking lives out. She stopped, took a breath, continued. I gave birth in chaos, in blood, in dying. My baby came out silent, not breathing. I thought she was dead. I thought labor killed her. And then cavalry came into tent. I pretended to be dead myself. They left. When I could move again, I wrapped my baby, prepared to bury her. But then more cavalry came. I had to run. I took what I thought was my baby's body and ran. I did not stop running for 3 days. When I finally felt safe, I unwrapped the bundle to bury her properly. Kaya's voice broke. There were stones in the blanket, not a baby. Stones! Someone had switched them. Taken my baby. I thought maybe as trophy. Or maybe to kill somewhere else. I did not know. I buried the stones anyway. Said prayers. Mourned my daughter. And then I survived. Because that is what you do. Jack could not breathe, could not think. The pieces were falling into place too fast. Too terrible. 6 weeks ago, Kaya said, I came to this area, hiding, surviving. And I heard crying from this cabin, baby crying. I came closer to investigate, and I saw through a window. I saw you holding baby girl, baby with birthmark on her neck, crescent moon shape, same birthmark I have. She pulled down her collar, showing the mark. Same birthmark my mother had, same birthmark that runs in my blood for 3 generations. Jack looked at Lily, sleeping peacefully in her crib, at the small crescent birthmark on her neck that he had always just assumed was random. No, he whispered. I watched this cabin for 2 weeks, Kaya said, trying to understand. How could my baby be here? How could white man have her? And then I saw the note, and I heard her cry. And I knew I had to feed her, had to know for certain. And now that I have held her, now that I have nursed her, I know. She looked at Jack with eyes full of tears and fury and something deeper, something terrifying. That baby you call Lily, Kaya said, is my daughter. She was born September 7th, same day you say your wife came home with her. Your wife did not give birth. She stole. She took my baby from massacre, took her while I thought she was dead, and let you raise her as yours. The words hung in the air like smoke, poisonous, suffocating. Jack looked at Lily, then at Kaya, then back at Lily. You're lying, he said, but he did not believe it even as he said it. I am not lying, and you know I am not lying. You know your wife's story never made sense. Woman does not give birth alone in woods and walk home carrying newborn. Woman does not die from childbirth bleeding the next day without other symptoms. Your wife took bullet wound. I bet you found bruises, marks, things that did not match childbirth. Jack's mind raced back. Mary's body, the bruises on her ribs, the wound on her side that the doctor said must have happened during labor but never quite looked right, the blood that came from wrong places. She was trying to help, Jack said weakly. She must have found you, found the baby not breathing, saved her, brought her to me to protect her. Maybe, Kaya said, or maybe she just stole. Maybe she wanted baby so badly she took mine when opportunity came. I do not know her heart. I only know what happened. She took my daughter. Let me think she was dead. Let me mourn, while you raised her 6 months thinking she was yours. She is mine, Jack said, his voice rising. I've been her father since she was hours old. I've loved her, cared for her. That makes her mine. And I gave birth to her, Kaya said, her voice rising to match. I carried her 9 months. I pushed her into this world while my husband died. I have the only body that can feed her. That makes her mine. They faced each other across the small cabin, 2 people with equal claim, 2 people who both loved the same child. Lily slept between them, oblivious to the battle being fought over her soul. What do you want? Jack asked finally. I want my daughter back. No, she is mine by blood, by birth, by every right. She's mine by love, by 6 months of care, by every moment I've kept her alive. You were failing at keeping her alive. I am the one who saved her. Because I asked for help, because I put up that note, because I was desperate enough to let a stranger into my home. That counts for something. It counts for nothing if you keep her from her mother. Her mother is dead, buried 6 months ago. Her mother is standing in front of you. They stared at each other, neither backing down, neither willing to yield. Finally Kaya spoke. I will make deal with you. What kind of deal? I will continue to feed her 3 times each day. She needs me for that. You cannot deny this. But we both think, both decide what is right. When she is strong enough to eat other foods, when she no longer needs my milk, then we decide. Who keeps her? Who raises her? We decide together based on what is best for her. And if we can't agree, then we fight. In your courts, with your laws, and we let strangers decide which of us deserves her more. It was the only option that made sense, and Jack hated it. Hated that this woman, this stranger, had any claim at all to the daughter he loved. But he also knew she was right. Lily needed her. Without Kaya, Lily would die. And all his love, all his fatherhood, all his devotion would mean nothing if his daughter was dead. Fine, Jack said. We have a deal. But you don't take her anywhere without me. You don't disappear with her. She stays here in this cabin where I can watch her. And where do I stay? There's a barn. It's dry. You want me to sleep in barn like animal while I save your daughter's life? Jack flinched. She was right. It was insulting. But he also did not trust her, could not trust her, not after learning his entire reality was built on lies. There's a back room, he said finally. Storage. I'll clear it out. You can sleep there. And you will not hurt me while I sleep. No. Will you take Lily and run? No. They stared at each other, neither quite believing the other, but both knowing they had no choice. I will come back tomorrow morning, Kaya said, to feed her again. Where will you stay tonight? That is not your concern. She moved toward the door, stopped, looked back at Lily one more time. Her expression softened, became something tender and broken and desperately loving. Sleep well, little one, she whispered in Apache. Then in English, Mama is here now. Mama will not leave you again. She left before Jack could respond, disappeared into the storm. Jack stood there, frozen, trying to process what had just happened. His daughter was not his daughter. His wife had lied. The woman he had just let into his home had more right to Lily than he did, and he had absolutely no idea what to do about it. He walked to Lily's crib, looked down at her sleeping peacefully. First real rest she had gotten in weeks, because her real mother had fed her. Her real mother. The words felt like knives. Jack sank into the rocking chair, put his head in his hands, and for the first time since Mary died he wept, not quiet tears, not dignified grief, but great gasping sobs that shook his entire body. Because he was losing her. He had already lost Mary. Now he was losing Lily. The only 2 people he had ever loved were being taken from him, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Dawn came gray and cold. Jack had not slept, had sat in the rocking chair all night watching Lily breathe, memorizing every detail of her face in case it was all taken away. When the knock came, he was ready, or as ready as he could be. He opened the door. Kaya stood there, still soaked, still exhausted, but determined. "I am here to feed her," she said. Jack stepped aside, let her in, watched as she went to Lily's crib, watched as the baby saw Kaya and smiled. Actually smiled. A real smile. The kind that babies give when they recognize someone they love. And Jack's heart broke a little more. This time when Kaya fed Lily, Jack did not turn away. He watched, saw the tenderness in Kaya's face, the way she touched Lily's hair, the way she hummed. The absolute love in every gesture. She was Lily's mother. There was no denying it. Not after seeing them together like this. When the feeding ended, Kaya did not immediately hand Lily back. She held her, rocked her, whispered to her in Apache. Lily cooed contentedly, grabbing at Kaya's finger. "She knows you," Jack said quietly. "She knows her mother," Kaya replied. "I'm her father." Kaya looked at him. "Are you by blood, by birth, by everything that matters? Blood matters, not as much as love. You think you are only one who loves her. You think I do not love her? I have loved her since I first felt her move inside me, since I first held her in my arms, since I thought she was dead and mourned her every single day. Do not speak to me about love." Jack had no response, because she was right. Her love was as real as his, as deep as his, maybe deeper because she had lost Lily and found her again. "What do we do?" he asked finally. Kaya looked down at Lily. "We share her, for now, while I feed her, while she needs both of us. And then we decide." It was not an answer, but it was all they had. The days that followed were strange, awkward, tense. Jack cleared out the back room, hauled out broken furniture and old tools and years of accumulated junk. He swept the floor, washed the window, brought in a cot and blankets. Kaya moved in with nothing but a small bundle of belongings. A bedroll, a knife, a change of clothes. That was all she owned in the world. She came 3 times a day to feed Lily, morning, midday, evening. Each time Jack watched, could not help watching, because every time he saw them together, he saw the bond, the connection, the thing he could not compete with no matter how much he loved Lily. They barely spoke. When they did, it was logistics, feeding times, Lily's health, necessary information, nothing personal, nothing that might crack the walls they had both erected. But Lily thrived. For the first time in 6 months she was healthy, gaining weight, smiling, laughing, reaching for things, being a normal baby. And both Jack and Kaya, despite their conflict, despite their competing claims, both felt relief, both felt joy. Because whatever else was true, Lily being alive and well was what mattered most. On the 5th day, Jack tried to start a conversation. "How did you survive?" he asked, while Kaya fed Lily. "After the massacre, alone." Kaya was quiet for a long moment. "I hid. I hunted. I stole when I had to. I moved at night. I became ghost. That must have been hard. Harder was thinking my baby was dead. Harder was having milk with no one to feed. Harder was hearing every baby cry and thinking it was her. Surviving is easy compared to that." Jack understood. Grief made everything else feel small. "I'm sorry," he said, "for what happened to you, to your people. Are you, or are you sorry only because it affects you now?" The question was harsh, but fair. "Both," Jack admitted. "I can't separate them. Your pain is tangled with mine now, because of her." He nodded toward Lily. "That is honest, at least." They fell into silence again, but it felt different, less hostile, more like 2 people trying to find footing on unstable ground. That night, after Lily was asleep, Jack did something he had been avoiding. He opened Mary's trunk, the one he had not touched since her death. Inside, among her dresses and books and personal things, he found her journal. He had known she kept one, but reading it felt like violation, like desecrating a grave. But he needed to know, needed to understand what Mary had done and why. He sat by the fire and read. The early entries were mundane, daily life, weather, thoughts about their marriage, nothing remarkable. But then, in late August, the tone changed. "August 29th, I saw them again today. The Apache camp near Eagle Canyon. They're hiding, trying to get to Mexico. There's a pregnant woman. So young, so frightened. I gave her food. She wouldn't take more. Too proud. I wish I could help more. September 5th. The woman is in labor. I can hear her from a mile away. I'm riding there now. I know it's dangerous. I know Jack would stop me if he knew, but I can't leave her alone. September 6th, I helped deliver the baby. A girl. Beautiful, but something's wrong. The baby isn't breathing right. Weak. And now there's shooting. Cavalry. They're attacking. I have to hide. September 7th, everything is chaos. The mother is dead, shot while I tried to help her. The baby was silent, not moving. I thought she was dead too. But then I heard the smallest sound, a whimper. She was alive. Barely. The cavalry was still shooting. If they found her, they'd kill her or leave her to die. I made a choice. God forgive me, I made a choice. I took her, wrapped her in my shawl, told them she was mine if anyone asked. Got shot running away, but I made it home. Told Jack she was ours. He believed me. He's so happy. How do I tell him the truth now? September 8th. I'm dying. The bullet wound is infected. I know I won't survive the night. Part of me thinks this is justice. I stole a baby. Now I'm paying with my life. But I can't regret it. That little girl is alive because I took her. If I die, at least I die knowing I saved one innocent life. Jack, if you ever read this, I'm sorry. Sorry for lying. But not sorry for saving her. Please love her. Please forgive me. Please don't let them take her back just to punish her for being born Apache. She deserves love. She deserves life. Give her that. It's all I ask. Jack set down the journal. His hands shook. Mary had known the mother, had helped with the birth, had taken Lily not out of malice but out of desperate compassion, and had died for it. He looked toward the back room where Kaya slept. She did not know this part. Did not know that Mary had tried to save both her and Lily, that Mary had been shot trying to protect them. Should he tell her? Would it change anything? Jack did not know. All he knew was that the truth was more complicated than either of them had realized. Mary was not a thief. Kaya was not abandoned. And Lily was caught in the middle of a tragedy that no one had chosen, but everyone had to live with. The next morning, Jack showed Kaya the journal. She read it in silence. Her face gave nothing away, but her hands trembled, holding the pages. When she finished, she set it down carefully. She tried to help, Kaya said, softly. Yes. She died saving my baby. Yes. And I blamed her, thought she was thief. You didn't know? No, but now I do. Kaya looked at Jack. Your wife was brave. Foolish, but brave. She was a lot of things. She loved you. The journal makes that clear. And she loved Lily, even though Lily wasn't hers. Because love is not only blood, Kaya said quietly. It was the first time she had admitted that, the first crack in her certainty. No, Jack agreed. It's not. They sat in silence, two people on opposite sides of an impossible situation, finding the smallest amount of common ground. I do not know what to do, Kaya said finally. She is my daughter. But she also knows you, loves you. Taking her from you would hurt her. Leaving her with you would hurt me. There is no answer that does not cause pain. So we keep doing what we're doing. We both love her. We both raise her until she's old enough to understand. And then we tell her everything. About you, about Mary, about how she came to be here. And we let her know both her mothers, both her fathers, all of it. That is not how the world works. Your people will never accept that. They will force choice. Then we fight them. Together. Kaya looked at him sharply. Together. You're her mother. I'm her father. We're on the same side, even if it doesn't feel like it. For the first time since this began, Kaya smiled. Small, sad, but real. You are strange man, Jack Turner. You're strange woman, Kaya Neshoba. We make strange family. Yeah, we do. And in that moment, without either of them quite realizing it, they stopped being enemies, stopped being competitors for Lily's love, and became something else, partners, reluctant, wary, but partners nonetheless. It was not the beginning they would have chosen, but it was a beginning. And for a baby sleeping peacefully in her crib, loved by two people who would move mountains to protect her, it was enough. For now, it was enough. The uneasy partnership between Jack Turner and Kaya Neshoba lasted exactly 9 days before the outside world shattered it. Sheriff Wade Holloway arrived on a cold morning in mid-March. Jack saw him riding up the path and his stomach clenched. He had known this was coming, had hoped foolishly that maybe they could avoid it a little longer. "Kaya," Jack called toward the back room. "We have company. Stay inside. Don't come out." She appeared in the doorway, Lily in her arms. "I will not hide." "You have to. If he sees you, he already knows I am here. Why else would he come?" She was right. Of course she was right. Jack stepped onto the porch just as Holloway dismounted. The sheriff was a practical man. Not cruel, but not soft either. He did what the law required and tried not to think too hard about whether the law was right. "Jack," Holloway said, touching his hat brim, "we need to talk." "About what?" "You know about what." Holloway's eyes moved past Jack to the cabin. "You got an Apache woman living here. I have someone helping with Lily." "That's not an answer." "It's the only answer I'm giving." Holloway sighed, pulled out a folded paper from his coat. "I got a complaint. Actually, I got 3 complaints. From townspeople who've seen smoke from your cabin at odd hours, who've seen movement, who say there's a woman here who's not white. So what if there is? So it's illegal, Jack. You know the laws. Apache are supposed to be on reservations or in designated areas. They can't just live on private property with white citizens. She's helping with my daughter, that's all. I don't care if she's raising the dead and walking on water. The law is the law." From inside, Lily started crying. Hungry. It was feeding time. Kaya would need to nurse her soon. "Give me 1 minute," Jack said. "Jack, 1 minute, please." Holloway nodded reluctantly. Jack went inside. Kaya stood by the window, holding Lily, watching the sheriff with wary eyes. "He's going to make you leave," Jack said. "I know. If you go, Lily will starve again. I know that too." "So what do we do?" Kaya looked down at Lily. The baby was red-faced, crying, reaching for her, hungry for what only her mother could give. "There is no we do," Kaya said quietly. "This is my problem. I knew the risk when I stayed. I will leave. You will try the goat milk again. Maybe now that she is stronger, she will take it. And if she doesn't, then you find another way. You are a clever man. You will think of something. I don't want another way. I want you to stay." The words came out more forcefully than Jack intended. Kaya looked up, surprised. "Why?" she asked. "Why do you want me to stay? I am the one who told you your whole life is lie. I am the one who has more right to her than you do. I am your enemy." "You're not my enemy. You're her mother. She needs her mother. She needs father too. She can have one or the other, not both. Not in this world." Jack wanted to argue, wanted to fight. But Holloway was waiting outside, and the law was clear. And wanting things to be different did not make them different. "Come with me," Jack said. "Talk to the sheriff. Maybe we can—" "There is nothing to say. I am Apache. He is law. Law says I must go, so I go." She handed Lily to Jack. The baby screamed, reaching back for Kaya. Kaya's face crumpled for just a second before she smoothed it back to stone. "Take care of our daughter," she said. Then she walked past him, out the door, faced the sheriff with her chin up and her shoulders back. "I am the woman you look for," Kaya said. "I will leave. You do not need to force me." Holloway looked uncomfortable. "Ma'am, I appreciate your cooperation, but I need to know where you've been staying. If there are others, there are no others, only me. I help with baby. Now baby is better. Now I leave." "Where will you go?" "That is not your concern." "Actually it is. There's a reservation about 40 miles north. You're supposed to report there." "I will not go to reservation." "Then I'll have to arrest you." "For what crime?" "For feeding dying baby. For saving life." Holloway's jaw tightened. "For violating territorial law regarding Indian settlement." "Your law, not mine. I do not recognize your authority over where I sleep. You're on American territory. My authority applies whether you recognize it or not." Jack stepped forward. "Sheriff, she's done nothing wrong. She helped my daughter, that's all. I know, Jack, and I'm sorry. But the town council has been clear. No Apache within town limits or on private property unless they're registered and supervised. Those are the rules." "Then change the rules." "I can't change the rules. I can only enforce them." Kaya turned to Jack. "It is fine. I will go. Do not fight for me." I'm not fighting for you. I'm fighting for Lily. Lily will survive without me now. She is strong enough. You don't know that. I do know, I can feel it. My milk is already less. In another week, maybe 2, she will not need me anymore. Better I leave now. Clean break. For everyone. It was the most pragmatic, sensible thing to do. Let Kaya go. Try the goat milk again. Hope Lily had grown strong enough to accept it. Move on with their lives. But Jack looked at Lily screaming in his arms, reaching for Kaya with desperate hands. Looked at Kaya standing straight and proud, but with devastation in her eyes. Looked at the future stretching out where his daughter would never know her real mother, where she would grow up thinking she was white, where half of her identity would be erased. And he could not do it. There's one way, Jack said slowly, one legal way she could stay. Holloway's eyebrow rose. What way? Marriage. If she's married to a U.S. citizen, she has legal protection. Right. The sheriff's other eyebrow joined the first. You're suggesting what I think you're suggesting. I'm suggesting that if Kaya and I were married, she'd have every legal right to live here, to help raise Lily, and there's nothing the town council could do about it. Jack, that's legal. That's what it is. Legal. Holloway looked at Kaya. Ma'am, is this something you'd agree to? Kaya stared at Jack like he had lost his mind. You would marry me. Marry the woman who wants to take your daughter away. You don't want to take her away. You want to be her mother. I want to be her father. Marriage lets us both do that. Legally. This is insane. Probably. But it's also the only option. Kaya was quiet for a long moment. Lily continued to cry, the sound cutting through the cold morning air. This marriage, Kaya said carefully, it would be legal only, for protection. Yes. Not real. Not real. We would live as what housemates, partners, co-parents, whatever you want to call it. And when she is older, when she no longer needs me to feed her, we figure it out then. But at least she'll have known both of us, had both of us in her life. That's more than she'd have otherwise. Holloway cleared his throat. I hate to interrupt this negotiation, but I need an answer. Either she goes to the reservation, or she marries you, or I arrest her. Those are the options. Kaya looked at Lily. At the baby who was her daughter by blood, Jack's daughter by 6 months of love. At the impossible situation they were all trapped in. I agree, she said. To marriage. For Lily. Just for Lily, Jack confirmed. Just for Lily. Holloway shook his head. You two are either very brave or very stupid. Both, Jack and Kaya said at the same time. They were married 2 days later at the courthouse. Judge Nathaniel Morse performed the ceremony with a face like carved granite. Sheriff Holloway served as witness, standing in the corner with crossed arms and a deeply skeptical expression. Do you, Jack Turner, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? Jack looked at Kaya. She wore the same deerskin dress she had worn every day since arriving. Her hair was braided. Her face was expressionless. She looked like someone signing a contract not taking marriage vows. I do, Jack said. And do you, Kaya Neshoba, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? Kaya's hands tightened into fists. For a moment Jack thought she would refuse, would walk away, would choose imprisonment or reservation over this strange partnership. Then she looked at where Lily sat in the sheriff's arms, chewing on her own fist, oblivious to the lives being rearranged around her. I do, Kaya said. In Apache first, then in English. I do. Judge Morse signed the certificate, handed it to Jack. You're married. I'll pray for you both because you're going to need it. They walked out of the courthouse into harsh afternoon light. Kaya carried Lily. Jack carried the marriage certificate. Neither spoke. What was there to say? They had just bound their lives together with legal chains for the sake of a child who belonged to both of them. At the edge of town, Reverend Samuel Gaines stood waiting. He was a tall man, thin, with eyes that burned with righteous fury. When he saw them together, saw Lily in Kaya's arms, his face twisted with disgust. He stepped into their path. Turner, Gaines said, what abomination have you committed? I got married. That's not an abomination. To a savage, to a heathen who worships demons, that child should be in a Christian home with Christian parents. She is in a Christian home. I'm Christian. And she, Gaines pointed at Kaya like she was diseased. She'll poison that child's soul. Fill her head with pagan nonsense. Raise her to hate God and civilization. Kaya's face remained impassive, but Jack saw her jaw tighten. "Reverend," Jack said carefully, "we're legally married now. There's nothing you can do about it. We'll see about that. Marriage can be annulled, especially marriages of obvious fraud, especially when one party is clearly mentally incompetent to consent." "My wife is not incompetent. Your wife is a savage. By definition, she lacks the capacity to understand Christian marriage. This union is invalid, and I will prove it." "How?" "I'm filing for custody of that child. She deserves better than to be raised by a white traitor and a godless squaw." Jack's fist clenched. He wanted to hit this man, wanted to break his self-righteous face. But Kaya's hand touched his arm. Light, warning, don't. "File whatever you want," Jack said. "We're her parents. Legally, you have no claim." "We'll see what the judge says about that." Gaines walked away. Jack and Kaya stood in the street holding Lily between them both, understanding what had just begun. The fight for their daughter had only started. That night in the cabin that was now legally both of theirs, they established ground rules. "I will take the back room," Kaya said. "You keep the main bedroom." "You can have the main bedroom. It's larger?" "I do not need large. I need private." "Fine." "I will feed Lily 3 times daily, morning, midday, evening." "Okay." "I will help with her care, washing, changing, playing, but you are also responsible. We split duties." "Agreed." "We tell no one the truth about her birth, about me being her mother, not until she is old enough to understand." Jack hesitated. "People will figure it out, her age, the timing. Let them suspect. We do not confirm. If anyone asks, we say what your wife's journal said. Mary found me in labor. Helped deliver. Baby survived. Mary did not. Story is close enough to truth." It was a good cover story. Explained Kaya's presence. Explained why she could nurse Lily. Avoided the most painful truths. "What about us?" Jack asked. "What do we tell people about our relationship?" "We tell them we are married. Nothing more. What happens in this cabin is our business." "And what does happen in this cabin?" Kaya looked at him steadily. "We raise our daughter. We stay out of each other's way. We do not pretend to be something we are not, which is, in love, happy, a real family. This is arrangement, legal protection, nothing more." "Nothing more," Jack agreed. But even as he said it, he knew it was more complicated than that. They were bound now, by law, by Lily, by circumstances neither had chosen but both had to live with. Whether they wanted it to be more or not, it was. The weeks that followed were strange, awkward. They moved around each other like strangers in a too small space. Polite, formal, careful never to touch, never to intrude, never to acknowledge the absurdity of their situation. Kaya fed Lily 3 times daily. Between feedings, she helped with ranch work. She was stronger than she looked, could mend fences, haul water, chop wood. She worked silently, efficiently, never asking for help. Jack worked alongside her. They developed a rhythm. He would start a task. She would finish it. Or vice versa. They communicated through gesture and glance more than words. It was easier that way. Words required acknowledgement of what they were doing. Silence let them pretend it was normal. At mealtimes, they sat across from each other. Jack cooked simple food. Kaya ate without comment. They discussed Lily, her health, her development, her needs. Everything else was off limits. At night, they retreated to separate rooms. Jack in the main bedroom, Kaya in the back. Lily's crib stayed in Jack's room. When she cried at night, Jack would bring her to Kaya's door. Knock softly, hand the baby over, wait while Kaya nursed her, take her back, return to bed. The routine was mechanical, efficient, empty of anything resembling intimacy, but Lily thrived. She was gaining weight, smiling, babbling, reaching for both of them with equal enthusiasm. She did not know or care about the strange arrangement that kept her fed and safe. She just knew she was loved. And she was, by both of them, fiercely, completely. That was the one thing Jack and Kaya did not have to pretend about. The town's reaction to the marriage was swift and ugly. The general store refused to serve Kaya. When Jack went alone, prices mysteriously doubled. The blacksmith would not shoe their horses. The church banned them from services. Parents pulled children away when Lily was nearby, as if being part Apache was contagious. Women whispered as Kaya passed. Men spat in the street. Once someone threw a rock through their window with a note tied to it, "Squaw lover, race traitor, your daughter will pay for your sins." Jack wanted to fight back, wanted to confront each instance of cruelty with force, but Kaya stopped him every time. "They want you to fight," she said. "They want you to prove you are savage like they think I am. Do not give them what they want." So we just take it. We survive it. There is difference. She was right. Violence would only make things worse, would give Gaines ammunition, would prove the town's point that an Apache woman could not be civilized, could not be trusted, could not be part of their world. So they endured, held their heads high, refused to be broken. But it wore on them, the constant hostility, the isolation, the sense that they were under siege in their own home. 6 weeks into the marriage, Sheriff Holloway came with news. "Reverend Gaines filed his petition," Holloway said without preamble. "Judge Morse has agreed to a hearing, 2 weeks from today." "On what grounds?" Jack demanded. "Fraudulent marriage, unfit parents, best interests of the child." "The marriage is legal." "Legal and real are different things, Jack. Gaines is going to argue you only married Kaya to circumvent Indian settlement laws, that you're not actually husband and wife, that Lily needs a proper Christian home." "We are husband and wife. We have the certificate. You sleep in separate rooms. You barely speak to each other. Half the town has reported seeing the distance between you. That's not a marriage, eh? That's cohabitation." Jack looked at Kaya. She stood by the window, arms crossed, face unreadable. "What do we have to prove?" Jack asked. "That the marriage is genuine, that you're really building a life together, that Lily's best interests are served by staying with you." "How do we prove that?" "By acting like a real married couple, shared room, shared finances, shared life. Affection in public, the appearance of genuine partnership." "We are genuine partners," Jack said. "We're raising Lily together." "That's not what I mean, and you know it. The law assumes marriage means certain things. Intimacy, romance, commitment beyond utility. If you can't show that, Gaines will win." After Holloway left, Jack and Kaya faced each other across the cabin. "We need to change things," Jack said. "I will not pretend to love you." "I'm not asking you to love me. I'm asking you to help me keep our daughter." "Our daughter," Kaya repeated softly. "You acknowledge that now?" "I've always acknowledged it. She's mine by raising her. She's yours by birth. She belongs to both of us." "Then we protect her, both of us, whatever it takes." "Even if it means sharing a room," Kaya flinched. "You want me to sleep in same bed as you?" "I want us to look like a real married couple." The sheriff's right. If we can't convince people this marriage is genuine, we lose her. And if I cannot do it, if I cannot pretend that level of intimacy, then we find another way. But Kaya, there might not be another way. This might be all we have. She was quiet for a long time, staring at nothing, processing. "Okay," she said finally. "I will move to main bedroom. We will share space. But we are clear, this is performance. For them, not for us." "For them," Jack agreed. "Not for us." That night, Kaya moved her few belongings into the main bedroom. Jack strung a blanket across the bed. A physical line neither would cross. They lay on opposite sides, backs to the divider, both staring at walls, both acutely aware of the other's presence. "This is strange," Kaya said into the darkness. "Yeah. I have not shared sleeping space with man since my husband died. I haven't shared a bed since Mary died. We are both doing this for dead people and one living baby." That about sums it up. Silence. Then softer, "Jack, yeah, thank you for fighting for her. You could have let me go, could have tried to keep her for yourself, but you fight for both of us to have her. That is rare. She needs both of us. I accepted that the day I read Mary's journal. Still, thank you. You're welcome." They did not speak again that night, but something had shifted. Some wall between them had thinned, not broken, not even cracked, but thinned enough that they could see each other through it. The hearing was scheduled for a Monday. By Sunday night, Jack and Kaya had prepared as much as they could. They had documents, the marriage certificate, shared bank account statements, bills in both names. Small pieces of paper meant to prove something that could not really be proven. They had also practiced. Practiced sitting close. Practiced casual touches. Practiced the small intimacies that real couples shared without thinking. Hand on shoulder. Fingers brushing. Standing near instead of apart. It felt mechanical, staged, but they did it anyway, because the alternative was losing Lily. That night, Lily woke crying. Not hungry, just fussy, teething probably. Jack got up to soothe her, but she would not calm. He brought her to Kaya. "She doesn't need to eat," Jack said, "just fussy." "Give her to me." Kaya took Lily. Rocked her. Hummed an Apache lullaby. The baby quieted immediately, nestled against her mother's chest. Found peace. Jack watched. He should have gone back to bed, given them privacy. But he stayed, watching Kaya with their daughter, seeing the tenderness, the natural ease. "You're good with her," Jack said quietly. "She is my daughter. Of course I am good with her." "No, I mean, you're a good mother. Better than I am a father sometimes." "That is not true. You are excellent father. She loves you very much. She loves you too. I know. That is what makes this so hard. Knowing that tomorrow strangers will decide if I get to keep being her mother, if she gets to know me, or if I will be erased from her life. That won't happen. You cannot promise that." "No, but I can promise I'll fight like hell to prevent it." Kaya looked up at him. In the dim lamplight, her eyes glistened. "Why? Why do you fight for me? I am the one who disrupted your life. Who told you painful truths? Who forced this arrangement? Because Lily deserves her mother, and because you deserve your daughter. What Mary did taking her without telling you was wrong. I can't fix that. But I can make sure you don't lose her twice." "That is very noble of you." "It's not noble. It's necessary. She needs you. I see that every day. The way she calms when you hold her. The way she watches you. She knows. Maybe not consciously. But somewhere deep she knows you're her mother." Kaya's tears spilled over. She wiped them away quickly, angry at herself for showing weakness. "I am afraid," she admitted. "Tomorrow I am very afraid. Me too. What if we lose?" "We won't. But what if we do?" Jack did not have an answer. Because it was possible. Very possible. A white man married to an Apache woman trying to raise a child in a town that hated them both. The odds were not good. "Then we appeal," Jack said. "We fight in higher courts. We don't stop fighting until there's no fight left. That could take years. Then we fight for years." Lily had fallen asleep. Kaya stood to return her to the crib, but she swayed slightly, exhausted, worn down by weeks of stress. Jack steadied her, his hand on her arm, the first time he had touched her beyond passing Lily back and forth. "You should sleep," he said. "I cannot. Too nervous. Try anyway. Tomorrow will be hard. You need rest." They went back to bed, lay on opposite sides of the blanket line, neither sleeping, both thinking about the morning, about what they might lose. Somewhere near dawn, Jack heard Kaya crying, quiet, trying to hide it, but unmistakable. "Kaya," he said softly, "I am fine." "You're crying." "I said I am fine. You don't have to be fine, not with me. If I am not fine, I will break, and I cannot break, not before tomorrow. Breaking isn't weakness. In my world it is. In my world you break and you die." Jack understood that, had lived that way himself for years, hold everything in, stay strong, survive. But it was exhausting and lonely. "You don't have to survive alone anymore," Jack said. "I'm here, for whatever that's worth. It is worth more than you know." They did not speak again, did not cross the blanket line, did not breach the careful distance they had maintained, but they both felt it, the smallest shift. The beginning of something that was not quite friendship, but was more than strangers. They were partners, real partners, united by a child and a fight and a shared determination to do right by both. It was not love, would never be love, but it was something. And for now, that was enough. The courthouse was packed, every seat filled, people standing in back. The whole town had come to watch, to judge, to see what would happen to the cavalryman who married an Apache and the baby caught between them. Reverend Gaines sat in the front row with his lawyer, Tobias Horn. Both looked confident, righteous, certain of victory. Jack and Kaya sat on the opposite side. No lawyer, no support. Just them and Lily and the hope that truth mattered more than prejudice. Judge Morse entered. Everyone stood. The hearing began. Horn started with his opening statement. Your Honor, this is a case about a child's welfare and a marriage fraud. Mr. Turner entered into a sham marriage with this woman solely to circumvent territorial law. They do not love each other. They barely know each other. And the child who should be raised in a proper Christian home is being used as a pawn in their deception. He laid out his case methodically. Witness after witness testified about the distance between Jack and Kaya, about their separate rooms, about the lack of affection, about how it was obviously a marriage of convenience. Then Horn called Mrs. Abigail Fletcher. She was the court-appointed observer, had been visiting the Turner home weekly for a month, watching, reporting. Mrs. Fletcher, Horn said, you've observed Mr. and Mrs. Turner extensively. In your professional opinion, is this a genuine marriage? Fletcher looked uncomfortable. The home is clean. The child is well cared for. That's not what I asked. Is the marriage genuine? They work together well. They share duties. Do they share a bed? They do. Now, yes. Now you mean they didn't before. They had separate rooms initially. And when did that change? About 2 weeks ago. Right around the time they were told about this hearing. Yes. Convenient timing, wouldn't you say? I wouldn't presume. Have you observed any genuine affection between them? Kissing, embracing any sign of marital intimacy? Fletcher hesitated. They are private people. That's a no, then. Your Honor, this proves my point. They only started sharing a room when forced to maintain the fiction. This marriage is a fraud. Judge Morse looked at Jack. Mr. Turner, your response? Jack stood. His mouth was dry. He was not a public speaker, but he had to try. Your Honor, my wife and I married quickly. That's true. But we married for the right reason, to keep our daughter alive and together. Kaya is Lily's biological mother. I've been raising Lily since birth. We both love her. This marriage lets us both be her parents. Biological mother, Morse's eyebrow rose. Explain. Jack took a breath, then told the story. All of it. The massacre, Mary finding Kaya in labor helping deliver Lily, taking the baby when Kaya was unconscious and thought the baby was stillborn, Mary's death, Kaya finding Lily months later, the recognition, the choice to work together. The courtroom was silent, riveted. When Jack finished, Morse leaned back. This is considerably more complicated than I was led to believe. It is, Your Honor. And yes, we married for legal protection, but that doesn't make the marriage fake. We're partners. We're raising our daughter together. We respect each other. That's more than a lot of married couples have. But do you love each other? The question hung in the air. Jack looked at Kaya. She looked back. Neither knew how to answer, because the truth was complicated. Did he love her not romantically, not the way he had loved Mary, but he respected her, admired her strength, valued her partnership, cared about her well-being? Was that love? A different kind of love? I care about my wife, Jack said carefully. I value her. I trust her with our daughter. I trust her with my life. If that's not love, I don't know what is. Morse looked at Kaya. And you, Mrs. Turner? Kaya stood. I do not love my husband in way stories describe. We are not romantic, but he is good man. He fights for our daughter when he could keep her for himself. He gives me place in her life when he could erase me. He treats me with respect when everyone else treats me with hate. Is that love? I do not know your word for it. But in my language, we say someone is worthy of standing beside. He is worthy, and so I stand beside him. It was the most honest answer either of them could give. Morse was quiet. Then he called Kaya to the stand. Mrs. Turner, he said, I need to understand. If this child is your biological daughter, why didn't you claim her immediately? I thought she was dead. I mourned her for months. And when you discovered she was alive, I wanted her back, but I saw she loved him. Knew him as father. I could not hurt her by taking her away. So you married Mr. Turner to stay close. I married him to be her mother. It was only way your laws allow. And if you could have her without the marriage, if I gave you full custody right now—" Kaya was quiet. Jack held his breath. "I would not take it," Kaya said. "Why not?" "Because she needs her father. He has loved her since she was born. He kept her alive when she was dying. He earned right to be her parent. I cannot take that from him. It would hurt her, and I will not hurt my daughter. Even if it means giving up your own claim, even then, she comes first, always." Morse studied her. "That's very selfless. That is being mother. You put child before yourself." The judge dismissed her, called Jack to the stand. "Mr. Turner, same question. If I gave you full custody right now, would you take it?" Jack looked at Kaya, at the woman who had given birth to Lily, who had every right to her, who had sacrificed everything to be near her. "No, Your Honor, I wouldn't." "Why not?" "Because Lily deserves to know her mother, her real mother. Kaya gave her life, saved her life by nursing her, loves her as much as I do. I won't take that away from either of them. Even though it would be easier for you, even though you'd avoid all this scrutiny and judgment, even then, Lily comes first. She deserves both her parents." Morse nodded slowly, dismissed Jack. Then he called Reverend Gaines. "Reverend, you've filed this petition. Tell me why you believe you should have custody." Gaines stood. "Your Honor, I have a family ready to take this child. Good Christian people. They can give her everything: education, stability, moral guidance. She would be raised in the faith, taught proper values, given a proper place in society. With these two she'll be raised in confusion, neither fish nor fowl, neither white nor Apache. She deserves better. You believe being raised by her actual parents is worse than being raised by strangers. I believe being raised in godliness is better than being raised in compromise." Compromise meaning what? Acknowledging she's part Apache, meaning embracing the savage part of her heritage instead of civilizing it away. Morse's expression hardened. "Reverend, I've sat on this bench for 30 years. I've heard a lot of arguments, but I have to say yours is one of the most offensive." Gaines sputtered. "Your Honor, this child has two parents who love her enough to sacrifice their own comfort to give her both her heritages. You want to strip that away and raise her to hate half of what she is. How is that in her best interest? She needs Christian values. She has a Christian father. She'll learn those values. She also has an Apache mother. She'll learn those values too. That makes her richer, not poorer. But, Your Honor, the marriage is clearly fraudulent." "Is it? I've heard two people testify that they put their child's needs above their own, that they're willing to work together despite every obstacle, that they respect each other enough to build a life together. That sounds like a marriage to me, maybe not a romantic one, but a real one nonetheless." Morse banged his gavel. "I'm ruling in favor of the Turners. Custody remains with both parents. The marriage, while unconventional, appears to be genuine in the ways that matter. This child will be raised knowing both her parents and both her heritages. That is my final ruling." The courtroom erupted, some in approval, more in outrage. Gaines stood red-faced, shouting about injustice. Horn tried to file an immediate appeal. Morse ignored them all, left through his chambers. Jack and Kaya sat in stunned silence. "We won," Jack said. "We won," Kaya repeated, like she could not quite believe it. They walked out of the courthouse together, Kaya carrying Lily, Jack carrying the weight of what they had just achieved. Outside, the town watched with hostile eyes, but neither Jack nor Kaya cared anymore. They had their daughter. They had each other. That was all that mattered. That night, after Lily was asleep, they sat at the table in their cabin. Neither spoke for a long time. "What happens now?" Kaya asked finally. "Now we live. We raise her. We make this work. You think we can? I think we have to. For her." Kaya nodded. "For her." They sat in silence. Not comfortable, not easy, but not hostile either. They had become something neither had expected. Not lovers, not even friends really, but partners in the truest sense. Two people united by a shared purpose and a shared love for the child sleeping in the next room. "Jack," Kaya said softly, "yeah, thank you for choosing to share her. You could have fought me, could have tried to erase me from her life, but you chose to let me be her mother. I will not forget that. You don't need to thank me. You're her mother. She deserves you. And she deserves you too. You are good father. We're good parents together. Yes, together." They went to bed on opposite sides of the blanket line, as always, as they would continue to do, because this was not a love story. This was a story about partnership, about sacrifice, about two people who loved the same child enough to build something new out of the ruins of their separate griefs. It was not romantic. It was not traditional. It was not what either of them had imagined their lives would become. But it was real. And it was theirs. And it was enough. For Lily. For each other. For the family they were building, one careful, determined day at a time. The victory in court lasted exactly 3 weeks before Reverend Samuel Gaines struck again. This time he went over Judge Morse's head, filed papers with the territorial government, wrote letters to Federal Indian Affairs, contacted newspapers in Denver and Santa Fe painting Jack Turner as a white man living in sin with a savage woman raising a stolen child in godlessness. The first Jack heard of it was when a federal agent arrived at his door. The man introduced himself as Cyrus Blackwell, Indian Affairs. He wore a dark suit and carried himself with the cold authority of someone who had seen too much frontier ugliness and stopped caring about individual stories. "Mr. Turner," Blackwell said without preamble, "I'm here about your wife." Jack's stomach dropped. "What about her? She's not registered on any reservation. According to our records, she's a fugitive from federal relocation orders. She's married to a U.S. citizen. That exempts her. Only if the marriage is genuine." Now Blackwell pulled out a folder thick with papers. "I've received multiple complaints suggesting otherwise, that this marriage is a fraud designed to circumvent federal law." From Reverend Gaines. "Among others, the complaints are credible enough that I'm required to investigate." Kaya appeared in the doorway, Lily in her arms. "Investigate what?" Blackwell looked her up and down. "Your legal status, ma'am. All Apache in this territory are required to report to designated reservations. You haven't reported. That makes you subject to federal arrest unless you can prove exemption. I am married. That is exemption. Not if the marriage is fraudulent. Judge already ruled marriage is real. A territorial judge. I represent federal authority. Federal law supersedes territorial rulings in Indian affairs." Jack stepped forward. "What exactly are you investigating? Whether this marriage is genuine, whether you and Mrs. Turner are actually living as husband and wife, whether the child is being properly cared for. I'll be staying in town for the next 2 weeks, conducting interviews, making observations. At the end of that time, I'll file a report recommending either exemption or mandatory relocation. Relocation where there's a reservation north of here, about 60 miles. She'd be required to live there. The child being half white and currently in your custody might be allowed to stay with you or might be placed with a more suitable family. That would be determined separately." Kaya's arms tightened around Lily. "You will not take my daughter." "Ma'am, that's not my decision to make. I just gather facts and file reports. But I will say this. If you want to keep custody, you need to prove this marriage is real. And, from what I've heard, that's going to be difficult." After Blackwell left, Jack and Kaya stood in heavy silence. "They will never stop," Kaya said finally. "They will keep coming, keep questioning, keep trying to separate us. Then we keep proving them wrong. How we cannot fake what is not there. We are partners, yes, but we are not lovers. Anyone who watches us can see that. So we become better at pretending. I do not want to pretend. I am tired of performing for people who hate me. Then what do you want to do?" Kaya looked at Lily. The baby was babbling, playing with her own toes, oblivious to the danger circling. "I want to protect her, even if that means leaving." "You're not leaving." "Why not? If I go to reservation, problem is solved. You keep Lily, raise her safe. She will not remember me. She is young enough to forget." "She shouldn't have to forget her mother. Maybe it is better if she does. Maybe it is better to be only white, to not have this confusion, this constant fight." Jack grabbed Kaya's shoulders, not rough but firm enough to make her look at him. "Listen to me. You are her mother. She deserves to know you, to know where she comes from. We don't give up just because it's hard." "I am not giving up. I am being practical. You're being scared. And I understand that. I'm scared too, but we've come this far. We can't quit now." Kaya's eyes filled with tears she would not let fall. "I do not know how to keep fighting. I am so tired, Jack, so tired of being hated, of being questioned, of having to prove I deserve to exist in my daughter's life. Then let me fight for you. Let me carry some of this weight. Why would you do that? Because you're my partner, because Lily needs you, because it's the right thing to do. Kaya pulled away, walked to the window, stood there with Lily on her hip, looking out at land that was hers by birth, but not by law. In Apache way, she said quietly, when burden is too heavy, tribe shares it. No one carries alone, but I have no tribe anymore, just you. Then I'm your tribe, and you're mine. We carry this together. She turned to look at him. You mean that every word? For the first time since the hearing, Kaya's shoulders relaxed slightly. Okay, we fight together. But I need you to understand something. I cannot pretend to be happy white wife. I cannot be what they want me to be. I can only be myself. Then be yourself. I'll work around it. Over the next 2 weeks, Agent Blackwell was everywhere, watching from town, riding past the ranch, asking questions of neighbors, storekeepers, anyone who might have information about the Turners' marriage. He interviewed Sheriff Holloway 3 times, talked to Mrs. Fletcher twice, even questioned Reverend Gaines, though he seemed skeptical of the Reverend's more inflammatory claims. On day 5, Blackwell showed up at dinner time. Mind if I join you? He asked, already stepping inside. We mind, Kaya said. Nevertheless, I'm here. Part of my investigation is observing you in natural environment. They ate in tense silence. Blackwell watched everything, how they sat, how they spoke, how they interacted. Jack tried to act natural, but everything felt forced under that clinical gaze. Lily, oblivious, banged her spoon on the table and laughed. She's a happy child, Blackwell observed. She is well cared for, Kia said. By you or by Mr. Turner? By both. And you share all parenting duties equally? Yes. Interesting. In my experience, Apache women handle child rearing while men handle other tasks. Yet you seem to have adopted a white model of shared parenting. It was a trap. Kaya saw it immediately. If she claimed to follow Apache ways, it suggested she wasn't integrating. If she claimed to follow white ways, it suggested the marriage was changing her, making her less authentically Apache. I follow the way that works best for our daughter, Kaya said carefully. Is that not what good mother does? Depends on your definition of good mother. Some would say good mother puts child's spiritual welfare above physical comfort. Makes sure child is raised in proper faith. My daughter is raised with love and respect. That is proper faith. Blackwell made a note. Jack could not tell if it was positive or negative. After Blackwell left, Jack confronted the reality they had been avoiding. He's going to recommend relocation, Jack said. I can feel it. I know. So what do we do? I do not know. We are doing everything we can, living together, raising her together. But it is not enough for them. They want something we cannot give. What do they want? They want me to disappear, to stop being Apache, to become white woman who happens to have dark skin. That is only way they will accept me. You shouldn't have to do that. But maybe I should, for her. Maybe I should let go of my identity so she can have easier life. Jack had no answer, because part of him understood the logic. Life would be easier for Lily if she was raised purely white. If Kaya assimilated completely. If they erased the Apache part of her heritage. But it would also be a lie. And Lily deserved the truth. The break came on day 10. Blackwell called them to the sheriff's office. Said he had preliminary findings to discuss. They arrived to find not just Blackwell, but also Judge Morse, Sheriff Holloway, and Reverend Gaines. This is informal hearing, Blackwell said. Not official. But I wanted all parties present for what I have to say. He opened his folder, read from his notes. I've observed the Turner household for 10 days, interviewed multiple witnesses, reviewed documentation. My findings are as follows. 1. The marriage appears to be legal and was entered into with proper procedures. 2. The home environment is clean and the child appears healthy. 3. Both Mr. and Mrs. Turner participate in child care. 4. However, there is minimal evidence of genuine marital affection or intimacy. We're private people, Jack said. Private is one thing. Absent is another. I've watched you for 10 days. You sleep in the same room but with a divider down the middle of the bed. You sit at opposite ends of the table. You barely touch. You speak formally to each other. This is cohabitation, not marriage. We respect each other's boundaries. Or you're strangers sharing space for legal convenience. I'm inclined toward the latter, Your Honor, Jack said, turning to Morse. You already ruled our marriage is genuine. I ruled based on what I saw in court, Morse said. Agent Blackwell has different information. Biased information from Reverend Gaines. Gaines stood. I have provided only facts. This marriage is a mockery. The woman should be on a reservation. The child should be with a proper family. The child is with her proper family, Kaya said, standing as well. Her mother and her father. You're not married in any real sense, Gaines shot back. Your roommate's sharing a child. That's not a family. Then what is family? Kaya demanded. You tell me. Is it only people who love in romantic way? Is it only people who sleep together? Or is it people who choose each other, who sacrifice for each other, who put child's needs above their own? It's people united by God in holy matrimony, which requires genuine commitment. We are committed to our daughter, to each other. Maybe not in a way you recognize, but it is real. Blackwell held up a hand. Mrs. Turner, I appreciate your passion, but passion isn't the issue. The issue is whether this marriage would exist without the child, whether you and Mr. Turner have any genuine bond beyond shared parenting. He pulled out another document. I'm recommending provisional status. You may remain together for 6 more months. At the end of that time, I'll return for final assessment. If the marriage shows signs of genuine development, affection, commitment beyond utility, I'll recommend permanent exemption, if not Mrs. Turner will be required to report to the reservation and custody of the child will be reassessed. 6 months, Jack said. And what are we supposed to do in 6 months? Prove you're really married, or admit you're not and face the consequences. It was another impossible deadline, another test they could not pass because the thing being tested did not exist and could not be manufactured. After the meeting, Jack and Kaya walked home in silence. Lily dozed in Kaya's arms, tired from the day. We cannot do this, Kaya said when they were finally alone. We cannot make something from nothing. We're not nothing, we're partners. Partners in parenting, not in life, not in heart. Does it matter? As long as we're good to each other and good to Lily, to them it matters. To the law it matters. Partnership is not enough. They want romance. They want passion. They want proof we are lovers, not just parents. Then we fake it. I told you, I will not fake that. I cannot. Why not? We've faked everything else. Because that is one thing I will not compromise. My body, my intimacy. That is mine. I gave it to my husband because I loved him. I will not give appearance of it to you just to satisfy white law. I'm not asking you to sleep with me. I'm asking you to act like you care about me in front of others. I do care about you, just not that way. I know, and I care about you too, just not that way. But can't we pretend for her? Kaya stopped walking, set Lily down on the porch, faced Jack fully. You want me to pretend to love you. I want us to survive the next 6 months. And after, when they demand more proof, when they ask why I am not pregnant with your child, when they want evidence of consummation, where does the pretending end? Jack had not thought that far ahead, but she was right. 6 months would become another deadline, another test. It would never be enough. I don't know, he admitted. I don't have all the answers. I just know I can't let them take you away. Can't let them take Lily from you. So we do what we have to do. Even if what we have to do is wrong, even if it requires us to lie about who we are. Is it lying if we're protecting our family? Yes, it is still lying. They stood on the porch as the sun set, both knowing they had reached an impasse. Finally, Kaya spoke. I need time to think, to decide if I can do this. How much time? I do not know, but I will tell you my decision soon. That night, for the first time since moving into the main bedroom, Kaya did not come to bed. She stayed in the back room with Lily, left Jack alone in the big bed that suddenly felt enormous and empty. He lay awake most of the night thinking about everything they had built, everything they stood to lose, and wondering if there was any way forward that did not require them to become something they were not. 3 days passed in tense silence. Kaya fed Lily, cared for her, did her share of work, but she and Jack barely spoke beyond logistics. On the 4th day, Sheriff Holloway arrived with more bad news. Gaines filed another petition, this time in district court, claiming Lily is being raised in an immoral environment. Morse already ruled against him, Jack said. Different court, different jurisdiction. They're claiming new evidence, that you and Kaya are living in separate rooms again, that the marriage is deteriorating, that Lily needs to be removed before the situation becomes harmful. That's ridiculous? Maybe. But the hearing is in 2 weeks, and this time you'll need a lawyer. District court doesn't mess around. I can't afford a lawyer. Then you better figure something out, because if you show up without representation against Horn, you're going to lose. After Holloway left, Jack found Kaya in the barn. She was brushing the horses, working out her frustration through physical labor. "We need to talk," Jack said. "I know what you will say. We need to fight, need to stay together, need to prove marriage is real." "Yes? And I have been thinking about what that means, about what they want from us. And," Kaya set down the brush, faced him. "I cannot do it, Jack. I cannot pretend to be in love with you. It goes against everything I am. In my culture, love is sacred. Marriage is sacred. To fake it even for good reason feels like betrayal of my husband's memory, of my own truth. So what are you saying?" "I am saying maybe it is time to stop fighting. Maybe it is time to accept that we cannot win this way." "You want to give up? I want to find a different way, one that does not require us to lie about our hearts." "There is no other way. We've tried everything." "No, we have tried to make them accept us as we are. But we have not tried changing the terms of the fight." "What does that mean?" Kaya took a breath. "It means I am willing to leave, to go to reservation, but only if you agree to bring Lily to visit me regularly, so she knows her mother, knows her heritage. We cannot live together, but we can still both be in her life. Visits aren't the same as being her parent." "I know, but maybe that is best I can hope for. Maybe trying to be full-time mother when world does not allow it is asking too much." Jack felt something crack in his chest. "You're giving up on her." "I am giving up on impossible dream. There is difference. I will always be her mother, but I cannot be her mother in a way that destroys you both. If my presence causes you to lose custody, if it makes her life harder, then I must step back. That's not what I want. What you want does not matter. What is possible matters. And this, Jack, this is not possible. We have fought for months, lied, pretended, endured hatred, and we are still not enough for them. We will never be enough. So we just surrender. We adapt. We find new way to be family. Maybe not way we wanted, but way that works." Jack wanted to argue, wanted to fight. But he was so tired, tired of battles, tired of judgment, tired of trying to prove something that should not need proof. "If you leave," he said quietly, "Gaines wins. He gets what he wants. Lily raised without knowing her mother. Lily will know me, through visits, through stories, through you telling her truth. It is not nothing. It's not enough either. Nothing will ever be enough, Jack. That is what I am realizing. No matter what we do, someone will say it is not enough. So we do what we can, what we are capable of, and we accept limitations." She picked up the brush, returned to grooming the horse. Conversation over. Jack walked back to the cabin feeling defeated, feeling like he had failed both Kaya and Lily, failed to protect them from a world determined to tear them apart. That night, he sat at the table with Mary's journal. Read her words again, her hopes for Lily, her belief that blood and choice combined made the strongest family. But Mary had been wrong, or at least naive, because the world did not care about strongest family. It cared about acceptable family, and theirs would never be acceptable. Jack was about to close the journal when he noticed something. A page stuck to another page, sealed with old wax. He carefully separated them. Inside was a letter, addressed to him in Mary's handwriting. "Jack, if you're reading this, you've discovered the truth about Lily. I'm sorry I lied. Sorry I put you in this position. But I need you to know why I did it. I found her mother dying, Kaya. I never knew her name then, but I know it now because she told me before she lost consciousness. She had just given birth. The baby wasn't breathing well. I helped, got the baby breathing properly, and then the cavalry attacked. They shot Kaya. She fell. I thought she was dead. The baby was crying. Soldiers were coming. I made a choice. I took the baby and ran. I thought I was saving her from certain death. But I also wanted her. I need you to know that truth too. I wanted a baby so badly, Jack. And in that moment, with Kaya dying and the baby crying and everything chaos, I let myself believe it was meant to be, that God was giving me what I wanted. That was wrong. I know it now. I stole. Even if I saved her life, I still stole. But here's what I need you to understand. If Kaya lived, if she ever finds Lily, don't fight her. Share. Let them both have the daughter. Because Lily deserves her real mother, and Kaya deserves her daughter. I know the world won't make it easy. I know people will judge. But you're strong enough to do this, Jack. You're good enough. Build a family that includes Kaya, even if it's not traditional, even if it's not what anyone expects. Do it for Lily. She deserves both her parents. Don't let the world take that from her. With all my love, Mary. Jack read the letter 3 times. Each time Mary's words hit harder. Don't fight her. Share. Build a family that includes Kaya. They had been trying, but they had been trying to fit themselves into acceptable molds, trying to be a marriage the world would recognize, trying to be normal. But maybe normal was not what mattered. Maybe Mary was right. Maybe they needed to stop trying to be what others wanted and just be what Lily needed, even if that meant something the world had never seen before. Jack found Kaya in the back room packing her few belongings, preparing to leave. Don't, he said. I have made my decision. I know. But I'm asking you to reconsider. I found another letter from Mary. She says we should share Lily. Build a family that includes both of us, even if it's not traditional. That is what we have been trying to do. No, we've been trying to convince others we're a traditional married couple. But we're not. We're something else. Something new. 2 parents who aren't lovers, but are partners. Why can't that be enough? Because the law does not recognize it. Then we make them recognize it. We go to that hearing in 2 weeks. We tell the truth, all of it, that we're not in love, that we don't have a romantic marriage, but that we're committed to raising our daughter together, that we're family in a different way. They will take her away if we admit that. Maybe, or maybe just maybe, we'll find a judge who understands that family comes in more than one form. That is big gamble. Lying is bigger gamble, because eventually they'll figure it out. They'll demand proof we can't give. But if we're honest from the start, if we stand up and say, this is who we are and it's valid, maybe we have a chance. Kaya stopped packing, sat on the cot. You really believe that? I believe it's worth trying. I believe telling the truth is better than living a lie, even if the truth costs us everything. And if we lose Lily because of this truth, then at least we lose honestly. At least she'll know someday that we tried, that we fought for her the right way. Kaya was quiet for a long time. Then she said, you are either very brave or very foolish. I've been told that before. Probably both. Definitely both. She almost smiled. Okay, we try your way, we tell truth, we see what happens. You'll stay, fight with me. I will stay, not because I think we will win, but because you are right. Lily deserves honesty, and so do we. The 2 weeks before the hearing passed in strange calm. Jack and Kaya stopped pretending, stopped trying to act like something they were not. They moved back to their separate rooms, ate meals in companionable silence. Raised Lily together without forcing affection they did not feel. It felt honest, real. For the first time since the marriage, they were not performing. They were just being themselves. And somehow, paradoxically, they grew closer. Not romantically, but in a deeper way. A way built on respect and shared purpose rather than forced intimacy. They talked more about Lily's future, about their own pasts, about what they wanted for themselves and each other. Jack learned about Kaya's childhood, about her mother teaching her to track, her father teaching her to hunt, her husband courting her with horses and patience. Kaya learned about Jack's family, about growing up poor, about joining the cavalry for steady pay, about leaving when ordered to do things that violated his conscience. They were learning to be friends, true friends, not lovers, not spouses in the traditional sense, but something equally valuable, partners who genuinely cared about each other's well-being. The hearing was held in district court, a larger room, more formal. The judge was a woman, surprisingly. Judge Sarah Whitmore, 50s, sharp eyes, reputation for fairness, but also for following the letter of the law. Tobias Horn presented his case. Same arguments as before. Fraudulent marriage, immoral environment, child in danger. But this time, he had new evidence. Witnesses who testified that Jack and Kaya were sleeping in separate rooms again, that they showed no affection, that they barely spoke. When it was Jack's turn, he stood without a lawyer, Kaya beside him. "Your Honor," Jack said, "everything Mr. Horn said is true. My wife and I do sleep in separate rooms. We don't show physical affection. We're not in love with each other." Murmurs ran through the courtroom. Horn looked triumphant. "But," Jack continued, "that doesn't make our marriage invalid. It makes it different. Kaya and I are partners. We're co-parents. We're committed to raising our daughter together. We respect each other, support each other, trust each other. Isn't that what marriage should be? Built on respect and commitment rather than just romantic feelings." "Mr. Turner," Judge Whitmore said, "are you asking this court to recognize a marriage without romantic love?" "I'm asking this court to recognize that love comes in many forms. I love my wife as the mother of my child, as my partner, as someone I trust with my life. That's real love, just not the kind stories talk about." Whitmore looked at Kaya. "Mrs. Turner, is this your understanding as well?" Kaya stood. "Yes, Your Honor. In my culture, marriages were often arranged, built on respect and duty rather than romance. Those marriages were valid, were real. Why is ours less valid? Because we chose partnership over passion. Because American law assumes certain things about marriage. American law assumes many things, some of them wrong. Is it wrong to build family on friendship and shared purpose? That's an interesting question." Whitmore looked at her notes. "I've read the previous rulings. Judge Morse found your marriage genuine based on your commitment to the child. Agent Blackwell questions it based on lack of romantic intimacy. You're asking me to decide which interpretation is correct." "I am asking you to decide if our daughter deserves both her parents," Kaya said, "even if her parents are not lovers." Whitmore was quiet. Then she said, "I'd like to hear from the child's perspective. Mrs. Fletcher, you've observed this family. What is your assessment?" Mrs. Fletcher stood. "Your Honor, I've watched the Turners for months, and I'll be honest. At first I thought it was fraud too. But the more I watched, the more I realized I was wrong. They're not faking partnership. They're genuinely committed to that child and to each other, just not in the way I expected." "Explain." "They work together seamlessly. They anticipate each other's needs. They make decisions jointly. They support each other through difficulties. That's marriage, Your Honor. Maybe not romantic marriage, but it's real partnership. And that child is thriving because of it. You're saying a marriage without romance can be valid. I'm saying this marriage is valid because it works, because both parties are committed, because the child benefits. Isn't that what matters?" Reverend Gaines stood. "Your Honor, this is absurdity. Marriage requires biblical union. Without that, it's just cohabitation." "Reverend, I respect your religious views, but this is a secular court. We rule based on law, not scripture. The law assumes marriage includes marital relations. The law assumes consenting adults can define their own marriages. Mr. and Mrs. Turner have defined theirs as a partnership focused on parenting. As long as both consent to that arrangement, I see no legal reason to invalidate it. But, Your Honor, however," Whitmore continued, "I do have concerns. Mr. Turner, Mrs. Turner, what happens when one of you wants a different kind of relationship? What if one of you falls in love with someone else?" Jack and Kaya looked at each other. It was a question they had not discussed. "We deal with it honestly," Jack said. "Same as we deal with everything. We talk, we figure it out. We put Lily first. Even if that means ending the marriage, even then. This marriage exists for her benefit. If it ever stops serving her, we'll change it. That's very mature, but also very unconventional." "Unconventional isn't illegal, Your Honor." Whitmore smiled slightly. "No, it's not." She called for a short recess, returned 20 minutes later with her decision. "This is a difficult case," she said. "It challenges assumptions about what marriage should be. But after careful consideration, I'm ruling in favor of the Turners." The courtroom erupted. Gaines shouted objections. Horn tried to file immediate appeals. Whitmore banged her gavel. "Order. Let me finish." Silence returned. "My reasoning is as follows. Marriage, at its core, is a legal contract, a partnership. The romantic aspects, while traditional, are not legally required. What is required is mutual consent, mutual commitment, and mutual benefit. The Turners have all three. They've consented to this arrangement. They're committed to their roles, and they both benefit through shared parenting. She looked at Jack and Kaya. Your marriage is unusual, but it's not invalid. You're doing something brave, building a family outside traditional boundaries. I respect that. Custody remains with both of you. The marriage stands. Your Honor, Horn said, we intend to appeal. Appeal all you want, Mr. Horn. But unless you can prove actual harm to the child, which you haven't, you won't win. This family is functioning. The child is healthy and loved. That's what matters. She dismissed them. Jack and Kaya walked out of the courthouse for what they both hoped was the last time. Lily bounced in Kaya's arms, happy and oblivious. Outside, the world had not changed. People still stared, still whispered, still judged. But something had changed inside them both. They had told the truth, stood up for what they were, and won. Not because they convinced everyone, but because they convinced the one person who mattered, the judge who held their fate. We did it, Jack said. We did it, Kaya agreed. What now? Now we go home, raise our daughter, live our lives. Together. Together. As partners. Not as lovers. Never as lovers. They said it clearly, firmly, establishing the boundary that would define their relationship forever. They were partners, co-parents, friends even, but never romantic. And that was okay, better than okay. It was honest. 6 months later, Agent Blackwell returned for his final assessment. He spent a week observing, asking questions, taking notes. At the end, he called them to his office. I'm recommending permanent exemption, he said. Your marriage is unusual, but it's stable. The child is thriving, and you're both clearly committed to the arrangement. I see no reason to interfere. Thank you, Kaya said. Don't thank me. I'm just doing my job. But I will say you two have created something I've never seen before. A marriage based on pure partnership. No romance, no passion, just mutual respect and shared purpose. It's strange, but it works. That is all we wanted, Kaya said, for it to work. After Blackwell left, Jack and Kaya sat on their porch. Lily played in the dirt between them, building elaborate structures that immediately collapsed. Do you think it will always work? Kaya asked. This arrangement of ours, I don't know, but I think as long as we're honest with each other, as long as we put Lily first, we have a chance. And if one of us wants different life someday, then we talk. Figure it out. Change the arrangement if we need to. You would let me go if I wanted. I would never keep you against your will. Kaya, you're not my possession. You're my partner. Partners choose to stay. I choose to stay, she said. For now. For Lily. Maybe for always. I do not know future, but I know present. And present is good. Yeah, it is. They sat in companionable silence. Two people who had built something rare. A family not based on love or blood or tradition, but on choice, on sacrifice, on putting a child's needs above their own desires. It was not romantic, not storybook, not what anyone would have predicted, but it was real, and it was theirs. Years passed. Lily grew up knowing both her parents, knowing both her heritages, speaking both English and Apache, learning both cultures. She called Kaya Mama and Jack Papa. Never questioned why they did not sleep in the same room, never wondered why they did not kiss or hold hands. To her, this was normal, this was family. When she was 7, she asked the question they had been preparing for. Why don't you love each other like other parents? Jack and Kaya looked at each other. Then Kaya answered, We do love each other, just different way. We love each other as partners, as friends, as people who chose to raise you together. But you don't kiss. No, or hug. Sometimes we hug, when one of us needs comfort, but not romantic way. Why not? Because that is not who we are, Jack said. Your mama and I are partners, best partners. We respect each other, support each other, care about each other, but we are not in love, and that is okay. Don't you want to be in love? Kaya smiled. I was in love once, with your mama's father, a good man who died before you were born. That love was beautiful, but it ended. Now I have different kind of love. love for you, love for the life we have built. That is enough. And you, Papa? Same. I loved your other mother, Mary, the one who saved you when you were born. That love was real, but it ended too. Now I love being your father. Love our family. Love the partnership your mama and I have. Different kind of love, but still love. Lily considered this. So you can have family without being in love. Yes, family is about choice, about commitment, about showing up every day. Romance is just one kind of love, not the only kind. I think I understand. And somehow she did, because she had lived it, had seen it modeled every day of her life. Two people choosing partnership over passion, choosing honesty over pretense, choosing what worked over what was expected. When Lily was 12, a boy in town asked why her parents were so weird. She looked him straight in the eye and said, "They're not weird, they're honest. They built a family on respect instead of lies. That's braver than most people ever manage." The boy had no response. When Lily was 16, she wrote an essay for school about what family meant. She described her mother who had given birth to her but lost her in a massacre. Her father who had raised her since infancy without knowing she was not his by blood. Her other mother, Mary, who had saved her life at the cost of her own. And the partnership her parents had built. The marriage that was not romantic but was real. She concluded, "My family does not look like most families, but it is real. It is built on truth and choice and sacrifice. My parents are not lovers, but they are partners in every way that matters. They taught me that love comes in many forms. That family is what you build, not what you're born into. That honesty is more important than conforming to expectations. I am proud of my strange family because it is mine and it is real." She got top marks. 20 years after that first knock on the door, Jack and Kaya sat on their porch. Both older, both grayer, but still partners. Lily was grown now, married herself, to a man she loved, building her own family. But she visited often, brought her children to see their grandparents, taught them both English and Apache, continued the tradition. "Do you regret it?" Kaya asked. "Never remarrying, never finding romance again?" Jack considered. "No, do you?" "No, I had romance with my first husband. It was beautiful. But this, what we built, is also beautiful, different, but real. We made it work, against all odds, against everyone's expectations. We are strange people, Jack Turner. We are Kaya Nashoba." They sat in silence, watching the sunset, watching Lily's children play in the yard, watching the family they had built against impossible odds. They had never kissed, never been lovers, never even been fully friends in the traditional sense, but they had been partners, true partners, for over 20 years. They had raised a daughter together, protected her, loved her, given her both her heritages. They had stood against a world that wanted them to fail, stood against prejudice and hatred and laws designed to separate them, and they had won. Not by becoming what others wanted, but by being honestly what they were. Two people who chose partnership over passion, who chose truth over pretense, who chose what worked over what was expected. It was not a love story, at least not in the traditional sense, but it was a story about love, about choosing someone, about commitment, about building something real from impossible circumstances. Jack Turner and Kaya Nashoba were never lovers, but they were family. And that in the end was more than enough. It was everything. The end.